Hello and welcome to another episode of Wars Going On. I'm Arcturus, and with me, as ever, is Sebastian Keynes. You may notice another person who is joining us today, and that's Slate.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, welcome in, Slate. Thank you for joining us. All right, welcome in, everybody. Slate, thank you very much for joining us today. Before we get to the main topic at hand and why Slate is with us, we usually here cover Forerunner news, and we go over the top comment at the very top of the episode. But Arcturus, this is the first time, I think, in 13 weeks that we have not had a patch in Forerunners.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we haven't had a patch on Forerunners. I had someone else reach out to me and say, "This is unusual, isn't it?" So I think it might just be that they were so focused on getting the global patch together that they just wanted to make sure that it was all tidy and got through reviews. So they just decided Forerunners could skip this week.
Well, at least we're getting some of the banners that Global was supposed to get. So at least we get to take a run with some of the heroes that are coming to Global soon, if we are able to summon them. But in terms of comments, is there anything you selected from the previous episodes?
Yeah, so the top comment from last week was from Rod Clark, and he was looking at ways that Zaris could be used with Anora, obviously Zaris being the summoner, and obviously she benefits from having additional summons on the pitch and boosting them up. And then he was thinking about Tallulah for heals, at least he was hoping to get her, at least for the trippy visuals, he said. And then he makes fun of my internet connection. So I'm not going to read that out. You can read that at your own leisure, people.
Yeah, now internet connection problems are not funny. I don't know why let's talk about Zaris and Nora interaction. Yes, I do notice that at least with the summoner units, she does become a little bit more intriguing to use in that setup. It's something that you can definitely toy around, given that they're cultists. So it's going to definitely be a fine interaction, especially with Zaris coming in, having his low cost, and then you can deploy him in quickly. So there's some things that you can do, especially in AMR 20 and 22 with him to make sure that you bring all those lackeys down before they explode.
Yeah, his explosion is going to be pretty impressive in that stage. I'd love to see a run through where someone's using him.
It's really cool. I mean, I don't know Zaris's kit yet, but sorry.
No, go ahead. I was going to ask you if you had actually seen or interacted with Zaris in any way yet.
No, not yet. I just got test server access, so that is very exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Literally this week, I was like, okay. So I've seen him, but I haven't had a chance to play with him. But I think what's cool actually is this summoner mechanic, more so in the fact that I like the idea that they're bringing new mechanics to the game rather than just like magic damage or piercing damage. So definitely crowd control is something that we haven't really seen much of. I know summoners aren't crowd control, but that's sort of like extra ways to do damage. So yeah, that's why I'm interested in it, because I'm like, I'd love to hear more, because it's a new mechanic effect. Well, it's not new, but
And talking about the special mechanics, I mean, I just finally was able to get one showcase done. I just recently got published Cena, and she does immense amount of damage, but the way that they kind of scale her back to make sure that she didn't overpower the game is that they made her ultimate so it just activates once during deployment. So you have to, if you want to keep using her, you have to retract her, right? So this was something really neat, and in an area where we are retracting fighters constantly sometimes is the higher levels of Gear Dungeon 2, and so that's one specific area that I was actually testing her in, and she did phenomenal. She can wipe that clone really quick if you give her the gear. And talking about Cena here, Arturos, I asked the developers to clarify. They haven't yet. They went on their weekend, right? But I think that she's a magic damage dealer. She is not normal. She's not physical damage dealer. And I kind of highlighted
every
in my
single video. Yeah, every single video I've seen of her, she's throwing out purple damage numbers on the target, and that just it raises questions. That's normally the one that's associated with all of the magic damage dealers. So the fact that it says she's normal damage, and then we've got this A5. This A5 I saw this morning, and it just made me go, hang on a second. And I went off and I had another look at what War Guides had suggested. And he came to the same conclusion as me, that she's got to be wrongly typed in the text, and she's dealing magic damage.
I mean, it's not the first time they've typed it. Oh, it's not the first time they've typed something wrong. Like, I remember going over Ares' kit with Ivy, and the description of him was AoE like damage dealer, and it's like he only does AoE when you like deploy him on that weird sort of passive that
Whirlwind
he's got.
slash.
Yeah, his basic is a single target, so it's like he's not an AoE damage dealer. So yeah, there are definitely some weird mistakes in some of the kit readings. So it wouldn't surprise me if they've put normal when she's actually magic. Annoying, but not surprised.
It just surprised me when she was healing the purple clone, the spirit clone, and she was just completely abolishing the flesh clone. And I was like, nah, the red clone. Yeah, there is something fishy here. So that pretty much told me that either she was being coded wrong for the dungeon, or that she is indeed a magic damage dealer. So hopefully by the time that she rolls into global, she is labeled as she's supposed to be based on her kit, that she is a magic damage dealer, like Silo 2.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I think that's it in terms of... we've also had Beelzebub come to the Forerunner server this weekend. I think he's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, his ability to offer inspiration and do damage, true damage to to enemies is going to be quite effective. He is very badly hampered by his low attack stats, but we'll see how people use him in the long run.
There is a couple of ways that I'm toying around with him in the test server. We'll see what comes at the end of it, but I'm hoping to publish that by the before the end of the banner.
That's cool. He's also got a really cool skin. It's just really cool design.
Yep. So
I find it really amusing that both Zaris and Beelzebub are four-armed heroes who have come out within about 2 weeks of each other. It's like, we've worked out how to make this character model. Let's just use it lots.
Twice. Yeah, exactly. So Beelzebub. Did he show up? No, he didn't show up.
No.
Beetlejuice is coming out in the States here pretty soon, so that's why I was saying Beelzebub.
Oh, okay. I mean, he does look like he's that kind of...
Oh, Beetlejuice too.
Yeah. Yeah, Beelzebub. He'll show up. Okay. So, so those are the two new heroes here in Forerunner. So we have a banner going on with them, 15X, but in global, they're going to be separated from what I saw on the leaks.
Yeah, it does look like there's a very different split between Forerunners now and the global servers in terms of banners. I imagine the devs will do everything they can to try and realign Forerunners and the global servers, because they like to get, because it's easy for them to manage, but it does mean that if bugs are present, then Forerunners have got an opportunity to flag them in, and they'll get fixed before they'll go global. Obviously, the Xena example being one. But we'll see what happens.
Oh, and I have to add my disclaimer here for the Forerunner server when it comes to new heroes. Muntan, 30X, come on. Just as Forerunners, let us play with them.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, so the main topic for today is GvG Season 5, and that's why we have Slate here with us, because we want to discuss this new map. So, Slate, you've probably seen the layout, and you told me that you did a collaboration with somebody else to kind of discern how things are going, but we can actually tell you here what we've found and how the Demon Soldiers are interacting, and exactly what heroes are working and what heroes are not. So, go ahead. Start us off, Arturos. Where do you want us to go first?
Let me just see if I can bring us over to an overview of the map. Just 1 sec. seconds.
All right.
Okay, so you've now seen this map either through the leaks or through doing your collaboration, where you did a linked sort of some theory crafting about how units were playing out and where were good places to place people and where were some not so good places to place people. I managed to catch up on that this afternoon, and it was interesting to see that a lot of the things that you thought were right, so it might happen, were right. And some of the things that you thought would be impenetrable aren't so impenetrable. So we'll talk through those as we go on.
That's good. Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun. Oh, yeah, I had a lot of fun with GoHerd doing that sort of first look at the map, early theory crafting, and definitely one of the things I realized when they switched to season 4 is when you get a look at the map for the first time, it's so different than when you actually get to play test. So I am very excited to see if some of the ideas we had, how they play out, because yeah, it's a very different type of map.
It's very difficult to defend. It's harder to defend than you would like.
Yeah,
and it does mean that I think if people have got the blueprints, there's going to be a lot more guilds zeroed, and I think that's kind of what they're after, to try and mix things up a bit, maybe. But yeah, it's going to be season 5 is going to be rough.
At war.
Right. So,
Yeah.
do you want to start like from the angle of let's tell the people, will Dahlia and Ingrid rule this map?
No.
Yeah, we've seen that. There are many different ways that you can get away from those two. So that is something that you can kind of hopefully some of the players can finally relax and say, I don't have to deal with those two. They're still going to be in the central keep, so let the heavy hitters go after those. But in this one, no, even when she switches to her stellar mode, she'll do some damage, but you can still get away with it or try to combat that, so they won't be as powerful as the other one. The other type of unit that we've seen is struggling a little bit here are the fighters, except for one.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Slate.
I was just going to say, like, anything with a long line on this map just doesn't really work. So Valkyra, Ardia, Ingrid, Dahlia, they're just not sort of designed for this map. They haven't got that like clear line of sight. So that doesn't surprise me. I think the only one that I would say that I thought could still work is Arrogance, because of his he's got that AoE ultimate. But I'm wondering if that is the fighter that you're talking about.
No, because, well, I mean, Arrogance, there are certain spots that he might work, but there are some spots where if there's a strong bookkeeper coming for you, he'll get annihilated. Okay, that's one. Number two, you and I know that there are ways to combat Arrogance. So Arrogance doesn't really scare me on this. The one that at least I know I had a little bit of trouble here in Forerunners with, and that people are succeeding with, is Valderon, because if even you place him in those tiles where the bookkeepers can get to him, he has all those extra lives, and you put him down somebody with like a Cornelia or a Lily to give him an extra life, he'll still be there, and hopefully you have some backup where then you can take the bookkeepers out. So once you get that annoying aspect out of the way, now you have your core 5 still going at it. So that's the one unit that I think is going to do well in this map because of his kit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen some interesting interactions with the long-range units up this corner, that even if you've got a flying unit, a ground unit or a flying unit coming up this pathway, they will generally put 1 or 2 hits into this unit before they turn to face a defender on this square. So that's been quite interesting. So especially when you're like sending lightning guards, trying to find lightning guards over this path, if you've got a ranged unit here and people might think, oh, they're going to be fine. No, they're not. That unit is very much a danger square.
Yeah, and that's something that we learned about the lightning guards there in that spot up there, is that if you don't have enough protection on the bottom to take care of them, if they reach the very top and they get to that turn, instead of keeping their aim on the tank, they will turn over and hit that fighter, and it's gone. So whatever protection you thought you had there for your tank, that is gone. So, and then if you place any type of marksman on top or a mage, depending on who it is and what you surround it with, there are ways to combat each one of those type of heroes. So that's one of the things that you're going to have to, if you're going to place a fighter in that very top platform, the one that is sitting by itself, that you're really going to have to protect them. I've seen our guildmates trying to protect with Mary, trying to protect with Hatsuit. Is not doing it, because if you can get either the lightning guards or what was the other unit that was aiming at that fighter? Didn't you say the blue mage?
I managed to get an uncommon destroyer to target that square. So it's uncommon destroyer came around the corner. There was a defender on that, just on that top corner there, and he just turned around, and before he went on to take on the defender here, he hit the long range unit. He was right here, so that was quite a surprise. But at the end of the day,
we've gone black.
In terms of testing, it was interesting. But anyway, the ground smash from the uncommon destroyer would have taken out the unit on that square anyway. Okay, so
what about that top marksman tile though? The one
this top corner, that's quite a difficult one to attack. That does seem to be quite a good one to have people on, because unless the tank has been taken out, there's very little chance of them being taken out, just because of the general focus.
Yeah.
So if I see the type of deployment, number one, what I'm looking for is, can I take that fighter out, that unit that they placed on top? That's key number one. And then number two is how I'm going to get rid of the tank. All right. Now, usually when you put a fighter in that little, in the lone spot, what happens is that they're putting the tank by itself. So right away, you're thinking about, how am I going to swarm this? I already taken out one unit. The only thing I have to deal with is the platform one. So unless it's somebody that, can slow down a swarm, you can maybe think about trying to just go after the tank and try to get through a broker, for example. But if you don't put the right unit up there, you can set it up to swarm. So at least from what I'm seeing, placing a fighter there is going to be really hard to defend. So if you do not have very powerful units, I will not rely on that strategy.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I sort of noticed is that this map is really set up to do like an overrun strategy. And so I think it'll be interesting. I think the meta might shift towards more slowing things down so that your units can then do all that AoE damage. I think, that spot right in the middle, Gohan and I were talking about the fact it's like a prime Mari spot. Now, I don't know if it's a vulnerable spot. That's the only issue is can that square be hit where the arrogance is on the screen? If the archers are there, is she just going to get wiped out? But
we have found that there is a way of doing this, and this is an interesting one. Rare archers, the 3-drop of rare archers is able to get that because of their clustering. It means that their focus is just, at least 2 of them, and their focus is just far enough away from the tank that they can get a couple of shots in, and that can be enough, and that unit is just gone. So you wait 20 seconds, you double drop your rare archers, and all of a sudden, bang! That whole defense strategy is gone.
Yeah. So you got to try. But yeah, I think we're gonna need a lot of crowd control slowing down to have a chance with this map, because it's not set up really to bomb. It's not set up to. I mean, you could fly, but flyers are slow on these these maps, and then overpower possibly more obviously. But yeah, I think the main strategy you're going to be looking at this map is overrunning, and then it's well, how do you combat that? and that's going to be
Uh,
AoE and
then
well,
hold
I
on. So,
certainly
because-
have seen greed used to great effect to prevent overrunning.
The other thing I was
That
going to
makes
say, though, Arcturus, from what we found, because we were testing each other's defenses a lot, and you guys were annoying the hell out of me. It was, if there was no CC, I would get screenshot. Oh, I just bombed you. I just bombed you. You're going to need CC. You just bombed you. So in terms of bomb, yeah, I think that there are going to be some situations where it could work effectively. Some of the situations where I would manage to slow these guys down to make sure they didn't bomb me, it was either I or Pelagius, somebody that could slow things down, greed, right? But then they kind of did the reverse on me, because one of them, I think it was Heretic, went and said, okay, so I'm just going to go after your greed with Scorches, and took him out. So I was like, okay, we'll just throw a defense in this week and see how this works and catches people off guard. But yeah, there's just too many ways to deal with those upper platform units there, especially the one on the left-hand side here, right on the up corner there. Yeah, either if they were not bombing it, they were dropping Scorches on it. So there are ways to take it down.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of similar to when...
Do not forget that after 2 weeks, maybe one, if you're lucky, but after 2 weeks, we're going to get that new Demon Soldier too that targets platform unit. So that's another thing that we were going to have to contend with. So right now in Forerunners for the first week, we're getting away with some stuff. But in the second, third week, no, that new unit, we're going to have to watch out for it. And that's why where you were saying that Mary spot, yes, we found some vulnerability, but then that new Demon Soldier will also add another dimension to that as well.
And I think that's the thing that's interesting. I remember when the season 4 map came out, the first 2 weeks, just everything got defeated so easily because, like you said, it's hard to defend. And now, obviously, there is the Ingrid meta, and you know it's now becoming quite difficult. So I like the fact that they've gone, okay, now that you've figured out how to do it really difficult, we'll make that the keeps, and then we'll bring out a new map. And yeah, I appreciate that. So I'm sure by the end of season 5. There will be, you know, a team that is just really difficult with this map that we haven't yet worked out how to do it.
Yeah, and at least from what Arcturus and I are seeing, it's either going to be a Nightmare comp that has Valderan in it, or it could be something that like a Pelagius Pradius type composition, where you are dealing through damage, you're slowing things down, and you're just making it hard to swarm, for your example. What I'm waiting for in the previous comp that I'm running right now is just to see how that new Demon Soldier behaves toward those units once, you know, everything is settled out.
Who'd have thought Arbiter and Chaos would...
Who would have thought, right? In a PvP mode, who would have thought that those two would be the one? Cash it, get those ancients, people. You're going to need them.
It's not like they've been meta every other season, you know?
That's always the case.
Well, I mean, season 4 was the Ingrid meta, but I mean, she's watches as well, so does that count?
Well, she's still ancient, you know.
Yeah, she's still an Arbiter too, so let's not discount that. Right. Don't forget. So then what other units, Demon Soldiers, are causing troubles with this? We already mentioned the bombs, the Scourges, the Destroyers, if you cluster things too close together.
Abyssal Horrors, or Abyssal Beholders. I've been having great fun with them. I know you're a fan of bombing, Slate, so I've been finding that the Abyssal Horrors with their 5-drop are much more reliable than Spiders. They're a little bit slow, so you need to change the drop order, but because you've got that extra unit, you've got those extra hit points, you can just generally the RNG that you often have with Spiders of, are they going to make it? Are they going to get there alive? It is significantly improved. And because there's so many of them, sometimes you just go, do you know what? I'm just going to double drop them and then just walk through everything, because 10 units is really difficult to stop.
They're definitely one of those units that you need at level 5. Not that you need, but they really come into their own and start shining at level 5. It's, you know, before that, the 4 block and how slow they are doesn't really make it worth it in a lot of things. You would, if you want something like that, that's when you go with the rare tank bomb, for example, rather than the spider bomb. But once they hit level 5, like you said, because they got better HP and different things, but it's not just them that they can swarm. They themselves could get through if you blocked up. If you blocked up a tank with rare tanks. I know it sounds a bit weird. You could then swarm with the abyssals as well. They are an interesting unit for sure once you get them to level 5, which
especially when you can start throwing the scale skin warrior in, and then suddenly you've got them all arriving at once in a great rush. So that could be quite entertaining.
Minions, all the minions. With this current season, the map has enough time before you start to hit the enemy's defenses for the necros to, I think it's at least 2 or 3 spawns of the skeletons. And that's sort of one of the reasons they've done so well in the current map. But here, that I think you might get 2 if you're lucky, depending. There's not actually that. You're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles for them to move at before, if you were to do like a front placement. So I'm not sure whether they will be as good as they have been this season.
They're still. I haven't. Yeah, go ahead, Sebastian.
No, I was just going to say, I think I've seen a couple of our guildmates here that have been able to use them, but they use them on formations towards the left-hand side of the map, right? Not the front. Yeah, there is not enough time on the front, so you're right.
Which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What else have we seen? I'm currently sort of browsing replays and deciding whether any of them are not too embarrassing to show.
Can you show some of the defenses right now? I mean, Fancy here in Forerunners is a very good guild when it comes to, putting up defenses. So can you flash some of the defenses and see what...
So this is one that's running in the background. So we've got a Brokir, a Praetus, and a Valkyra.
And then she's going to get taken out by the Scourges. Yeah,
exactly. So there is not a lot of, that Praetus did not provide a lot of defense for that type of unit. So that's going to be an issue right now. So Scorches, or even if the Lightning Guards would have survived, they would have aimed at her. So so you can see here, he was just trying to set up the swarm. And he didn't set it up correctly, but that's the kind of right ideology, right? Especially when you already took out one unit. You only have probably one more DPS to contend with.
Okay, so let's just navigate over. So what have we got here? We have... So again, we've got a Pelagios top corner. And that's a pretty risky place to put an Elo in, but I'm assuming they're thinking the Theowind's going to be providing enough damage that it's not an issue. But then, it's straight into Praetus on the top corner. God, that's if you can get some bombs in there, but you're going to be dealing with the slows and the tides. That's not going to be a fun one to attack. Do we have any attacks on that one? No, no one's been brave enough to attack that.
That one is probably going to be the one that you build it up. Right, or you attempt to build up the units that are a little bit, magic resistant a little bit, just to try to get through that swarm. That Pelagios is what complicates the thing with the bombs. So I would not try to bomb this. No, it would have to be pile up. Maybe, like you said, Slate, if you have very strong rare shields, you could do that, and then just swarm it. Try to get through tier 1.
That would be double Pharaoh, double Cod, and then swarm.
Yep, just heal it or give the throw a fool in there. Just protect. Just try to build it up. Yeah, exactly.
You could also probably just take out Regulus. To be honest, he's not unbeatable compared to some of the other tanks.
He's no Brock here, no.
No.
So the other option would literally just be obviously bait and then axe effectively. Axel, yeah, he's not too tough. And when you're doing an overpower strat, you got single target and Praetus. Theowin isn't really going to bother you. It'll just again be the Pelagios, but that's the BP check, isn't it?
That is the BP check, correct? You got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But this is the composition right now that is kind of dominating the meta right now, is anything Pelagios Praetus related, because those are the ones that are really the BP check. If you don't have the BP, you're not going to get through it. So we're seeing a lot of formations, especially from this guild, with those two. And then the other one, what's it? Cyrus is complicating things as well. Roker. But we know those two are just good at what they do anyway. So, what other stuff haven't I seen yet?
We've got an Ingrid here. No one's attacked that, but
they're probably just
so
hoping.
someone attempting to use an Ingrid. There's an Ajax behind your head there. Which there we go. I could turn you off, but that'd be rude. So we've got a. What's this? It's a Hatzert, a Constance, and a Regulus and then using Ingrid to block things up. Now, I think if I would bomb this. I think.
Yeah. Bait and bomb.
Bait and bomb. Yeah, because Ingrid doesn't have enough time to really kill you off. You've got Hatzert. She's only going to be able to tickling you until she's her ultimate's not going to go, so you could probably even go something really crazy, but you want to get those bombs in there, and if you can get those bombs in there, all of that's gone, and then the whole thing just falls apart. And
but that's a class example of the Abyssal bomb that you were saying, because you're going to need enough HP to tank at least one Ingrid hit. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, jumping into another tower, not going through every defense on every tower because that'd be a bit unfair. This one's got 5 wins. Okay, so what have we got here that's causing problems? So this is a Silas Araka Nyx. This is something that you were sort of toying around with in your video. That's having Nyx in this place would be really problematic, and especially for high awakening A3 plus, that could be really horrific. I
was going to say, I'm pretty sure we did that exact place with Araka for the crowd control, Silas for the single target, Nyx just going to be really nasty, and then a solid tank and healer. Obviously, they've got hollow rage regen, but yeah, Nyx A3, A5 in that spot is going to be really tough to basically figure out how to get through, because I mean she's tough at that.
I mean your only hope is that you went something like uncommons, but then you've got to deal with the poison damage coming from Araka. And any single target that you would try and do is going to get melted by Silas's ult. So again, you'd have to bait to do anything with this comp. But I think if you baited, because Silas and Araka have got quite long cooldowns, compared, they're not super fast turnarounds. And Nyx has got a long ult, but yeah, I think you can beat this team. It would then come down to the awakenings and the rage regen that you had on them, because if they could get their ults back quick, you're in trouble, basically.
That's the problem. That's what I was saying. And the thing with Nyx is you just want to make sure that she's not killing anybody in A3, A5, right? So as long as she's not killing, maybe you can sustain her AoE damage a little bit. But I was just just trying to think here with what unit you would bring to make sure that only one, you bait, and then 2, maybe you start kind of putting things together, build them up a little bit, so you can
and one thing about Nyx is the fact she always targets the furthest unit. She doesn't target the ones right up under her feet. She targets the furthest unit. So if you could come up with something really heavy, really slow, that was right, that you send stuff in, pass after the Iraka and Silas ults, you send something in to go into the tank, and then you drop something really slow and heavy that Nyx focuses on, and you run the stuff past that. That might be a way of doing it, but
yeah.
And like you were saying, Arthur, if that Silas is not tanky and you can get him out with the blue archers, that's one relief spot. And then based on the behavior of the new Demon Soldier, again, at least how I've seen it, one shot, depending on affiliation, maybe you could probably bring him down too. So there could be ways to combat this. Not in the first week, maybe not, if you can't BP check it. But later on, yeah, this should be a unit or two. So either way, what we're learning here is you saw how things are getting tilted over to the platform units, and not everybody's relying on the fighters, unless it's somebody that, you know, has a little CC, or they have like an extension, something that they can manage a little bit. But everything that we're seeing right now is people are relying more on the platform units, which actually scares me a little bit, because I did ask somebody here in the test server to see if they could set something up with Beelzebub. You're right, because then he provides that inspiration. So I just wanted to see how much more damage those units could do in this regard. So that I always come and think to, how are these new units fit in the new map? Because you know that is the way that developers are thinking about this. Okay, we're introducing new units to the game. Where can people use them? Well, aside from the new AMRs and stuff like that, I was thinking, well, in this aspect here of PvP, putting somebody like Beelzebub with this range, inspiring people, and his rage comes up quick, especially if you have a Might 3, he's going to be annoying.
Yeah, if you get him on that square below greed, he could, and facing out, then he's going to be applying inspiration across that whole section of map. So any units you've got in there, he's going to be doing damage even out here with his flies. Ugh.
So, but I think that's the thing, like when Dahlia came out, everyone was like, what is this range? And I remember sort of being like, there's a reason this range is coming out. Like, what is going on? And I think in a weird way, it was to prep us for Ingrid, because obviously, like, Dahlia's great, you know, but compared to Ingrid, you know, I mean, Ingrid, right? But I think what's interesting is when you start to realize, hang on a minute, something new's come, there's no place in the game for it yet, you immediately need to go, something's coming, because they are very good at releasing the hero before the content, which is very different for a game. Usually they release the content and then go, here's the hero to beat it. Whereas this time it's sort of like, is this the hero that's going to be the sneak peek for the content? Yes or no? And that's the gamble that you have with these new hero releases.
So Arturus and I have been from Forerunners. We kind of had an idea that Edith was going to have a place in the game because everybody was trashing her. It's like, what the hell are you going to use this knockback for? And we're like, just wait for it. We were just saying, just in the background, just wait for it. And even when I did my showcase on her, I was like, well, look at how much she's separating from the units. There's something coming here. Just wait. So,
I again, Lucius as well. When Lucius, the people were doing like the first previews of Lucius, and they were like, "What's this? What's this debuffing about? What's his cleansing about?" And he's like, "Yeah, they go well." Both at the time, Semra was out on Forerunners, and we go, "Well, you need to cleanse. This is incredible."
Exactly. So,
And now I got so excited getting Lucius A3 that weekend. It was the best luck I've ever had. And then obviously, like with the bugs with Semra, he's not working the way he wants. But apparently that is going to get fixed. And I'm retribution for Lucius is all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm creeping up. I've got kind of like a kit for him now that I can just about get the pacing of it, and I can, with the new icon indicators, it gives you an idea of actually, do I want to activate his ult early and just skip it so he doesn't lock himself up into demonic mode. So he's quite good now at being able to have that little bit more idea about what's going on with him and how you can manage him to make him activate the way you want when you want him to. So.
Okay, any other annoying formations you want to show us here, Arcturus? We cover pretty much everything that you wanted on your list.
I'll be honest, I don't have a list. I'm pointing and clicking at random.
Valderon, you talked about Valderon. Go back one.
Let's go to the Valderon one. How did he set that up?
You haven't showed that yet. That top one. I know you beat it, but that's the Valderon, right?
Let's see what we've got here.
Oh, that's bad Valderon placement. No wonder.
Yeah.
Oh, what is that?
I have seen a lot of people place him there, actually, with a tank. So Ajax isn't in a bad location.
No, good Ajax spot.
Oh, mauled it.
Oh, when in doubt, yeah.
Yeah.
And that is also, I guess, something that could get relieved as well with this map is that, we're finding a lot of things that you can mod. And since they're introducing Ma, the hero, now you're going to have if you do get him in the account, you just have to get him into the account. Then you get 4 placements with Ma. So 4 of your A battles could easily be Ma. So, he swarmed. He went right through it. Okay.
Yeah.
Poor Valderon.
He deserves it. He's a bully.
Put a visor on your Valderons, people. All right.
But people don't want to do that because then he gains health, and then they think that stops him working effectively. But he's so effective at losing his own health.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else here, Slate, that you might have covered with Gohad that we have not?
We were just looking at there was a Cyrus placement that was quite interesting, but I've not seen anyone.
Yeah, no one's actually yet done that one. Which was so you were talking about having Cyrus kind of on this square facing this way.
Yeah, where Valderon is facing to the left.
Left.
I always have to forget. I have to change which way my thumbs are on screen. So
it gets me every time.
Right but yeah, having Cyrus there and then basically having almost like a mid-platform setup. I think that
so you had like Araka here and Silas on the middle tile pointing out, and I can't remember if you had who you had above, but that was the kind of thing that you had in terms of you had your control from your Araka, you had your Silas providing protection up here, and I think you may have even had Ajax up this top corner, but it was it was definitely an interesting placement. I'm going to be kicking the team to go and watch your video to get some ideas. And I think I, in fact, have done that earlier today. So, look, based on what you've learned this week, watch this video, redo your defenses.
Yeah, it was good. And I think, again, with Ajax, what's so funny is how underrated I think he's sort of taken by the community, because he's just amazing. And I've yet to see a map that you don't just go, oh, Ajax would be great in this map. Just put him in. And again, I think he'll be great in this. I think Hatset as well, where Greed is on that tile. That's another really nice Hatset spot.
It is, but as I say, it's a case of you wait the 20-30 seconds until she appears, until she comes out of cloak, and then you just take her out. That's Hatsu up here. That's a tough one, but it takes out. Yeah, as you said, you can't take out. Her ultimate is effectively useless up there.
I almost wish. Do you see how that one in front of Greed is actually built up? I almost wish that meant it was protected, if that makes sense, because it's just aesthetic at this moment. Because it's sort of like, well, why couldn't that just then be a platform if you're gonna have it, if that makes sense?
I see what you're saying, but this is the debate that we're always having too. Magda levitates, but she can't hit air units, so some stuff doesn't make sense in the game. So
no.
It would be nice if it would be like a protective barrier, but no, it isn't. So
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but
I mean, they have done that. So in the now season 5 fortifications or the season 4 towers, you've got that big pyramid near the start, which stops people shooting across from the exit to take people out on the entrance. And I did think that, but I think if you're going to make that a block, then it's got to be a two-way block, because otherwise it's not fair.
Oh no, completely. But what I was looking at is when we were like looking at it to think it was a protected spot was whether that was a block to it. But yeah, because you'd have to basically hit either side of it, not exactly where arrogance is on the screen.
Yeah, so you think it could deceive some players then to say this is like a protective mechanism, but it isn't.
I don't know. It's one of those things. It was one of the questions I sort of had in the back of my head was, is that built up for a reason? Yes or no? But the answer is no. So that unit, because again with Mari, I wasn't necessarily think it would hit where arrogance is, but all around it would work. And yeah, but now that beautiful spot, because it is a beautiful spot for a CC. You're not gonna risk placing anything there, because it's gonna get, like you said, hit by the uncommon archers or this new demon soldier. So yeah, it's like, okay, well, that's out.
Yeah, it'll work for 2 weeks, and then yes, people will be throwing this guy out, and it'll all go wrong. So.
All right, any closing thoughts?
I think season 5 is going to be really exciting. Obviously, we're going at the end of it. So he says, switching back to the game. Obviously, at the end of it, there's this gladiator tournament for the top 32 teams. So there's still not very much information about that yet. But I think it's going to be tiring, because obviously 8 weeks of GvG can be quite intense. And then if you where you normally get a downtime week, you're then dragged into 2 weeks of tournament, because I think we sat down and worked out that you could probably do it in just over 2 weeks. So, but yeah, it's going to be horrible.
But the match, I mean, the current match, I don't know whether you guys find this, but the current matchup system, the current point system is so bad with GvG. It's really bad. So if this is a way to be like, okay, well, this is the top 32, and then now we actually figure out the rankings from that in a sort of much better way, then I think that would be interesting. But what about the people? Like, you can't then have those top guilds having no break, because like you said, it is very intense. We do it, we love it, it's great, but we need a break. Yeah, you were about to say about the new maps each season, which I think is great, but then you need to have downtime for your top guilds.
Yeah, I mean, we got the map a week in advance of starting season 5, and it was much needed time to sort of play with it and test it and get a feel for how it works. Now, if you're going straight out of season 5 into the tournament and you're not really having your downtime because you're attacking, then it's going to be absolutely horrific for season 6, because your top 32 guilds won't have had an opportunity to really practice unless they go, do you know what, we're going to tank this so we can get onto the practicing for season 6. So
and it's not an insignificant amount of players, like the top 32 guilds. You're not talking about the top 5 guilds, you're not talking about even the top 10 guilds. Like, that's nearly 1,000 people, which I know is not a lot of people, but I would say, the top 50 guilds are your very active players in Watcher of Realms. And I don't think the game's old enough to really have a top 200 active, if that makes, well, active, but like super pushing for things. And so I think they've got to have that balance between keeping the players interested. I think this gauntlet is a good idea, but if there isn't a break, people are just going to go, I don't want to play, this isn't fun anymore. So I'm really hoping that they sort of figure it out. But I don't see why it has to be the top 32. Like, why couldn't you do it and then have like this fun gauntlet for different brackets? So you go the top 30, the top, then to 100 or then to whatever, so that people can still. So I wish in a way almost that the gauntlet wasn't just for the top 30. I think it would almost be better to do like the season, maybe have a little break and like for a week, then do the gauntlet and split the gauntlet up into, top 30, and then the next bracket would be to top 100, then top 250, so that people can still experience a game mode. It doesn't really sit right with me, the idea of a game mode that is locking players out unless they are in a top guild, because just I don't really think that sounds very inclusive. And I think the point is that, the great thing about GvG is, yes, the more you push it, the more competitive it is. It's fun, but you can do it at any level and still get that sort of satisfaction, get that skill building and stuff like that. So that's I'm not sure with the limits.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how it plays out, but I think season 5 so far is looking to be a lot of fun, albeit a bit frustrating. So far, I'm 1-3 on attacks. Unfortunately, that's the 1 win and 3 losses. But I'm sure this week will get better. Otherwise, Sebastian will be hitting me around the head and telling me to go and practice more.
I am. I'm going to be the one. I'm going to be the one. No, I like okay, so here's what I'm going to say. I like the fact that they changed the map and they changed it quickly. So there's a rotation now. And hopefully that is coming down the pipeline as well, that they keep changing the map. So it's not the same stale stuff over and over again. So I welcome it. Some of us might perceive it as annoying because we're not going to be able to rely on the units that we typically rely on, like it's a shame that we have to bench it, the arrogances and the Ardias and stuff like that. But then there are other units that we might bring into the fold as well. And then regarding the gauntlet slate, yeah, I do agree with you. It is I do see it sometimes as a problem if you start locking things up, especially for top guilds, top spenders. You could put it in a manner. But I will say this, that at least in the patch notes that we got here in Forerunners, they said that they would explore increasing the number of participants in other seasons. So I think that they just want to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
And the other thing, like Arturo says, is we do not know exactly how the schedule is going to look like. So is it going to be, okay, for all of the dudes not in the gauntlet, you get 3 weeks off while the gauntlet's going on? Or is it going to be, okay, 1 week off, 6 and 6 kicks off, but then the 32 guilds that are in the gauntlet, they're participating in that. And then once those are eliminated, they get added back to the pool, and now season 6 kicks off with them as well. So we'll see how they line this up. We have to see the tail end. They have it locked. That's unfortunate, but we have to see at the tail end how exactly they put this out to make sure that doesn't hurt too many. But yeah, I was telling tourists, if we have to, we get into the round of 8, round of 4. We just have to persistently go for the next 10 weeks. It's going to tire some people out. I just know it. It's like going to be, I set my defense, who cares? Let it ride.
Well, I mean, at least on Forerunners, we have the GvG gear lock. I believe that's one of the things which is coming soon. Unfortunately, not in the 9th of September patch for global, but it does make a hell of a difference being able to just set and lock and then walk away.
It's bad. It's bad. The amount of times that you just go, oh no.
I just hate the fact that there's this period when we cannot play the game. Or we have to make sure, don't touch that gear. No, you can't touch it. Even if it's a piece, you can't use it. It just annoys me. So when you're trying to do other stuff in game, especially. So
yeah.
But all right. So Slate, thank you very much for joining us to discuss season 5 of Guild versus Guild, especially here in the Forerunner server, which we are already in the middle of it, and we're trying to learn this map as best as we can, so we can defend it the best as possible when the gauntlet does show up. So For Arturos, for Slate, thank you very much for joining us. Want to thank you all for tuning in and watching. Please do remember to use the comment section to throw any ideas. Maybe Arturo picks your comment for the next WoRs Going On episode, and we will see you all next week.